you feel a responsibility to speak out. But
Absolutely.
people are saying, now that you're speaking about it on this issue, why not about others? Why not against drugs? Why not against
my family is not at risk.
That would sit up and make people take notice,
okay,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, why would it? Those are the kind of things
it would
that
be
rock
unexpected.
stars talk. No, it wouldn't. Well, it would be unexpected for me to do just say no. Excuse me.
Have you done it? Have you done it?
Of course not, because I've taken drugs. I'm not a hypocrite. Do you know, I'm not going to do that kind of rubbish. I'm not going to do that kind of thing. This is something that threatens the lives and the lifestyle of myself and the people I love. This is a lot more important than trying to discourage people from taking drugs or telling them that they really should pay for their CDs.
You think so? On a long-term basis?
What, this altercation?
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid I really do, and I think if you don't, then I'm jealous, because you must be sleeping a lot better than me.
What do you want Saddam to do? What should be done with Saddam? If he doesn't, he's made it clear now he isn't going to disarm, he won't get rid of the missiles.
I think I've already made that point.
Just talk to him.
No, not to Saddam. Saddam has to be dealt with in the way that Saddam has to be dealt with, but not now. Not until there's some effort shown in Palestine. Otherwise...
Why are you linking the two together?
Because they're not linked, but every terrorist in the world who is an Islamic fundamentalist terrorist links those two things. Would you agree with that?
A lot do.
A lot.
But that doesn't make it right, does it?
Of course it doesn't, but this is not about right and wrong. This is what's dangerous about this situation. What this is about is the Pandora's box that was opened by the Americans, you know, in the 50s or 60s with the invention of the atomic bomb. That Pandora's box was opened then, and little bits from it are now internationally placed.
Make you feel better if the UN had a second resolution authorizing force?
Slightly, but I don't think, because I think that most of the people who have voted against Mr. Blair on this issue are not voting really on the issue of whether it's right for us to kill innocent people in Iraq, right? I don't really think they're voting on that. I think they're voting on that as normal, but this time they're saying, we do not want this war in our backyard. We did not do anything to deserve it. Our administration, as far as we know, did not really do anything to deserve it. I do not think Americans have the same point of view. I think that they have been attacked, they feel frightened, they understandably want a strong leader, they're not anywhere near as informed by their media as we are, and I honestly think that the majority of British people have no idea what we're doing here, on our own, with the Americans.
Is George Michael disillusioned with the music industry? Had enough?
Huh?
Song from your album, Older. Star people counting your money until your soul turns green. Star people counting the cost of your desire to be seen. Can't help but hope there's a difference between you and me. Is that what you hope?
Well, I don't hope it. As I said, I have barely promoted myself in, since Faith, which was 1988, I've barely promoted myself. I've been on television maximum a couple of times a year, if that, right? I stepped back from needing this a long time ago. I like to, it's still, the two most important things in my life are my family, including my partner, and my music, and I'm not complete with either one of them being absent. I need
fed up with the record industry there. You slam the bosses and the corporate guys who've done their best to relieve artists of their art.
Oh, they have. Would you honestly say you hear much art on the radio? Which is why I think it's kind of, you know, I'm begging, I'm hoping that there will not be Band-Aid 2, because the reality is very, very few people in the industry now that you're hearing on the radio make their money from their own hearts and minds. They make their money from singing the words of others. And so therefore the weight of something, you know, called Band-Aid 2 or 3 or whatever would be incredibly slight, because those people involved would be extremely young and extremely lacking in knowledge about any type of politics. It's not the same as making a record to try and send money to Ethiopia. This is different, and I really hope the pop music, the industry, the current generation, stays away from it, because I really don't think it would be a very genuine move.
Too much violence in music? Rapping lyrics?
Well, American music has been very nihilistic for a long time, and I find that, I'll actually, to be honest with you, even though our music industry is dying on its feet, I would much rather have no youth culture, which is basically what we're coming to. We had youth culture, which is now almost, it's been assimilated and there's nothing left of it. I'd rather have no youth culture than a nihilistic youth culture, which is what America is having to deal with.
What are the lessons for you from this protest? You're going to protest, is this a one-off as far as you're concerned, Iraq?
Absolutely.
That's it?
The only other thing that I would ever put my neck on the line for would perhaps
George Michael's going to stop caring and go back to the business?
Well, no, I think the only thing that I can see myself putting myself this far out on a limb for, again, is probably Clause 28. I would go that far for Clause 28.
On homosexuals?
Mm-hmm.
Teaching?
Well, it's not just the teaching, it's all kinds of things. As it stands, I can still be arrested walking down the street holding my boyfriend's hand. As it stands. I mean, it would never happen, but it's one of the ridiculous things that's in there. And I think it's time for gay couples. I have no real view on marriage, because it's never been something. I have no desire to ape heterosexual relationships, but I think it's absolutely time that people who live together their entire lives have the rights of spouses, as opposed to the person, you know, the idea that if anything happened to myself or Kenny, that our families would have all the rights and that we would have none. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, George Michaels, good to have you on the programme. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers.
Thanks.